Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth. He commanded armies, passed law, held the lives of millions in his decisions, and yet, the people who spent time with him did not describe him as cold or distant. They described him as magnetic. The philosophy he practiced, the one they now sell as a productivity hack, was actually something far more powerful. Stoicism was not a philosophy of detachment, it was a philosophy of mastery. The Stoics believed that most human suffering and most human mediocrity came from one source, the confusion between what we control and what we don't. When you are constantly reacting to things outside your control, the opinions of others, the outcomes of events, the behavior of people around you, you become scattered, unpredictable, a person whose internal weather is entirely determined by external storms. The Stoic practice was about reversing that, about becoming a person whose internal state was generated from within, not imported from without. And here is the psychological truth the Stoics understood intuitively, 2,000 years before the research confirmed it. People are magnetically drawn to those who do not need them, not because coldness is attractive, but because genuine self-possession is extraordinarily rare. There are 5 qualities that Stoic practice systematically cultivates. Each one, on its own, is compelling. Together, they create a kind of presence that is almost impossible to forget. The first is equanimity. Equanimity is not the absence of emotion, it is the absence of reactivity. When Marcus Aurelius was told that a general he had trusted had betrayed him, witnesses noted that his expression did not change. He asked 2 questions. He made a decision. He moved on. In a world where most people broadcast their inner state to everyone around them, their anxiety, their need for approval, their fear of failure, a person who remains genuinely steady is stunning, not cold, steady, and there is a profound difference. The second principle is full presence. Epictetus taught that the greatest disrespect you can show another person is to be physically present but mentally elsewhere. In a room full of people performing attention while actually thinking about themselves, a person who is genuinely, fully present with you is astonishing. Most people never experience it in their entire lives, which means when they encounter it, they remember it forever. The third principle is radical honesty. Cato the Younger was one of the most revered men in Rome, not because he was the most powerful, because he was the most honest. In a world of political theater and calculated performance, Cato said exactly what he believed, even when it cost him everything. People can sense the difference between someone who speaks to be liked and someone who speaks because they believe something is true. The second kind of person is rare, and rarity creates value. The fourth principle is indifference to outcome. This is the one that most confuses people. Indifference to outcome does not mean you don't care about what you do. It means you are not attached to how it is received. The Stoics called this the discipline of action. You execute with full effort, then release the result entirely. This creates a quality in how a person pursues things, a focus undiluted by the need for approval, and that quality is palpable to everyone around them. The fifth principle is voluntary hardship. Seneca slept on a hard bed once a week. Marcus Aurelius trained with soldiers even after he became emperor. Epictetus, despite being freed from slavery, kept almost nothing. These were not acts of suffering, they were acts of calibration. The person who chooses difficulty, who can endure discomfort voluntarily, signals something deep and biological to everyone around them. This person is unbreakable. This person does not need comfort to function. In a culture addicted to ease, voluntary hardship is the rarest signal of strength there is. How do you actually practice these 5 principles today? Equanimity. The next time something disrupts you, introduce a gap, 1 breath, 1 moment before the reaction. The gap is where equanimity lives. Full presence. For the next conversation you have, put the phone away, close every mental tab, and listen as if the person speaking is the only thing that exists. Notice how they shift in response to you. Radical honesty. Choose one truth you have been softening. Say it clearly, not aggressively, just clearly. Watch how people respond to the person who says what they actually mean. Indifference to outcome. Before your next important act, a pitch, a conversation, a creative work, say the words out loud. I will do this fully, and then I will release what happens. Then, actually release it. Voluntary hardship. Choose one discomfort this week that you don't have to choose. Wake up an hour earlier. Take the cold shower. Skip the thing that numbs you. You are not punishing yourself. You are reminding yourself what you are capable of. There is one more thing worth saying. The Stoics were compelling, not because they were perfect, but because they were genuinely committed to a practice of becoming. Marcus Aurelius's meditations are full of failures and self-corrections. Seneca wrote beautifully about virtue while living in a house funded by a tyrant's money, and he knew it. He said so. Real magnetism is not the performance of having it all figured out. It is the visible, authentic pursuit of something worth becoming. That is what people cannot look away from, not the finished product, the honest pursuit. The difference between someone who uses these principles and someone who simply reads about them is simple. Practice, not perfection. Practice. True Stoicism was never about becoming less human. It was about becoming more present, more honest, more steady, more free. The 5 principles we explored today, equanimity, presence, honesty, indifference to outcome, voluntary hardship, are not personality traits you either have or don't. They are practices, ones that history's most compelling figures refined, one day at a time. If you're the kind of person who sees the hidden patterns others miss, this channel was built for you. One question for you. Which of these 5 Stoic principles do you believe is the rarest quality in the modern world? Leave your answer in the comments. Let's start the conversation.